Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond Elevated Show. I am your host, Robert Wilson, sitting alongside two of the best in the business, Mr. Percy P. Diddy, the one and only, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, Percy Jones. What up, bruh?
What's going on, my brother? I am happy to be back alongside you and Ryan.
Well, I mean, Ryan's been having all sorts of fun here recently in Dallas with not only the Dallas Cowboys playing well, but also just a lot of things happening in Dallas right now. So, sitting next to you, without further ado, let's introduce our other man of the hour. Needs no introduction, coming all the way from Arlington, Texas, Mr. Ryan Lillis. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, fellas. How are y'all?
I can't
All is
complain,
well.
man.
Can't complain. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of sports to talk about, a lot of things happening. So I'm excited to dive into it.
Okay, well, obviously the main story is this week was about Prime, but we're not going to start there, okay? We're not going to start there. We are going to talk about it, but I don't want to get into Prime. First thing I want to talk about is Joe Burrow beating Patrick Mahomes again, finishing 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. You would think that this would be a revenge game because Patrick Mahomes obviously lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, lost to Cincinnati last year to go to the Super Bowl. This game was circled on a lot of calendars, and Percy, Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase are showing that, they're not afraid here of the big bad wolf. What did you think about the game?
Hey guys, man, it's like most teams might come in playing against Kansas City and might get nervous. These guys are locked and loaded, man. Chase missed what the last 4 or 5 weeks, and you would have thought that he just played last Sunday, Ryan.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do. I know people want to highlight the quarterback matchup, but I think as a whole, the Bengals as a team and as a coaching staff, I think Zach Taylor really is one of the few coaches that has Andy Reid's number. Um, he's gone head to head with him and come out with a victory each of the last three times. So he's doing something right. And Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are just an unstoppable force right now. No matter how many weeks he's out, it just looks like he's been doing it the last 5 weeks.
Absolutely. And Joe Burrow, it just seemed that the pocket was getting rushed. He was getting rushed a lot throughout the game. It just seems like every time that he needed a throw that he made it, he went 25 for 32 for 286, but I don't think two touchdowns, no interceptions. I don't think that told the whole story in just my personal opinion. I think that he just showed signs here. I mean, it's his third year. He just showed signs of being probably one of the top five quarterbacks into the league. And he just looked so calm during the game. It just looked like that there was nothing that Kansas City could do to stop him. One quick note that I wanted to add is Pirine, again, went for over 100 yards, 21 carries for 100 yards. Is this becoming a kind of thing, Ryan, where he has, not that he's going to take over Mixon's job, but even when Mixon comes back, that he has solidified himself as in he's going to get a share of the carries here?
I definitely think so. I like him. I like him as a third down back. I really do. He's a very, very low to the ground, but has a lot of force and runs with a lot of power. And he goes forward. That's what you want in a third down back, and I think they have it. But he's done a great job being an every down back, showing you that he can be both. And I think a lot of people with Mixon's performance this year have kind of forgotten about P. Ryan a little bit. I think even Bengals fans could admit that. But it's great to see, and Joe needs a running game because that running game is what opens up the passing game when you don't have the most solid of offensive lines.
Absolutely. Percy, the Cincinnati Bengals here sit 8-4. And with the uncertainty here of Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, do you think that Cincinnati here closes out this division and gets a home game for the first game in the playoffs?
Absolutely, man. I think, unfortunately, with Lamar going down and the way the Browns have been playing lately, this kind of pretty much sets it up for the Bengals to potentially go on another run, man. And with P. Ryan playing the way he's playing, you go later on in the season and deeper in the playoffs. You got more fresh legs for Mixon, and again, those receivers, like, I don't know how it's getting done with that O-line because that O-line is terrible. But hey, it's looking good for them right now.
Yeah, and the Kansas City Chiefs, they dropped to 9-3. However, two things I want to point out. Number one, they still have the best record in the AFC. So for the season we're ending today, they would get the bye. And Percy, we're going to come back to you with this next question. The closest team to them is the Chargers in their division at 6-6. The closest teams to Kansas City to challenge them for potentially getting the number one seed is the Bengals, which are 8-4. The Titans, which are 7-5. I don't think that they're going to catch them. The Ravens are 8-4 as well, and the Bills are 9-3. So it's looking like, and by the way, the Dolphins are 8-4. So it's looking like it's going to be a race here between the Chiefs, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Bengals. So the Chiefs, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Bengals for the number one seed. And for those who are listening, remember that the rule was changed last year to make it so now there's not two buys that are given in the AFC or the NFC. There's only one buy that is given. And what I mean by a buy is that you don't have to play the first round of the playoffs. So Percy here, who do you think and why out of the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Bills are going to end up here being the number one seed coming out of the AFC?
I'm going to go with Andy, and I'm going to go with Andy simply because we all know.
And when you say Andy, Andy who?
Andy Reid, I'm sorry.
All right, this is for the listeners. All right, and he is the coach of who?
Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, cool, perfect.
And I'm going to go with him just based off longevity. He knows how to get it done. And, they lost this week. They're going to get right back to it. It was a good game. It wasn't like it was a blowout. And just based off of all the teams that you mentioned, if it come down to coaching, not even players, just coaching, I want to give it to Andy Reid all day long.
Absolutely. Ryan, who do you think and why?
Definitely, I'm going to have to agree with Percy here. Yeah, great win for the Bengals. Not to take anything from the Bengals, but the defense for the Chiefs really kind of disappointed me a little bit with the lack of stops and also some special teams plays, especially the field goal at the end with the kicker that they have and Butker. I think that's a kick that you pay him to make, and he didn't make it. So there was a lot. Pat didn't play the best of games, but he played pretty solid. For me, I think if I'm not going to go the Chiefs, I would have to go with Bengals right now. I think the Bengals have kind of, in my opinion, have kind of hopped Buffalo in that second position. I think they're playing better now, but can they do that the rest of the season? That's another question.
Well, no, you bring up a very, very good point, Ryan, and I want to talk about that. So the first thing is that I do believe it's between those three teams, even though I mentioned four. I'm just going to say Miami. I got to see it first, so I just don't think Miami is going to be able to, will themselves into the number one seed going into the playoffs. But I do think it's going to be between the Bengals, the Bills, and the Kansas City Chiefs. But one thing I wanted to point out first is looking at the Bills' remaining schedule is tough. So this week they have the Jets, and remember the Jets beat them the first time around. The week after that they have the Dolphins. Then they get reprieve on Christmas Eve and get to play the Bears. But then they have to go to Cincinnati and play the Bengals. And then they have the Patriots at home. And we just all know how, they beat them. And they beat them last time. And they beat them pretty bad. But still, let's just remember that this is New England. And that game in the last game of the season could mean something for New England to get in the playoffs. So I think the Bills have a very hard next 5 games, except for the Bears. And when you look at when you take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals last 5 games, you're talking about they have the Browns this week at home. Then they travel to the Buccaneers, which we'll talk about that here in a second. And that the NFC South, oh man, the NFC South is bad. Then you have they go to travel to the Patriots. Then they have the Bills at home, and then the Ravens. So they have a very, very tough schedule. Not as tough as the Bills. But then when you really dive deep and you look at Kansas City's last 5 games, they have the Broncos, which are the laughing stock of the league right now. Then they travel to Houston, which the laughing stock number 2 in the league. The Seahawks, they have the Seahawks at home. Then they play the Broncos again at home. And then the last game of the season, they play the Raiders. So I think you're both right, because if we just look analytically, Kansas City's definitely going to be favored in all 5 of those games. And I do think that they have the inside track to not only get the bye, but then also be the number 1 seed. And the road to the Super Bowl is going to definitely go through Kansas City. However, the road through the Super Bowl went to Kansas City last year, and Burrow and Chase did not have a problem going in there and making sure that they beat them. Is there anything else that you guys want to say about these 2 teams or the race here for the number 1 seed? We're going to end up talking about the AFC playoffs here in a second, but I just wanted to see how you guys feel about it.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing what it comes down to. I believe it's going to be tight. Like I said, Andy Reid, I would love to see it go through somewhere else, but I just don't see it happening.
Understand completely. Okay, so moving on. The next thing that we're going to talk about is just the immediate reaction here that we got. Switch over here to college football here for a second. And Deion Sanders, Primetime, has decided that he is going to leave Jacksonville State, HBCU, historically black college, and he's going to head over to Boulder, Colorado, into the Pac-12, and head over to the Colorado, the Buffaloes, and they're going to, he's going to bring his son and some other recruits that he brought out there from Jackson State and change things up a little bit. Percy, we're going to dive into this very deeply. The first thing that I want to discuss with you and Ryan is this. Forget all the outside noise. We'll get to that here in a second. The first question I have is do you think he's going to be successful at Colorado, considering that they were 1-11 last year, the laughing stock of the Pac-12, and there's some really strong teams in that division, and the Pac-12 is tough. Now, we know USC and UCLA are eventually leaving, but you still have Washington, you still have Utah, and they're the bottom of the division. How do you think this is going to work out here, just from a football perspective and him going to Colorado?
I think he's going to be very successful. I think with him, his name of just Deion Sanders and what he was able to do at Jackson, he's going to get even more top recruits because he is going Division I, because he is in the Pac-12, and simply because the resources. I'm going to dig in deeper a little bit later, but I played college ball at Delaware State University. The facilities at historically black colleges cannot compare to the other kind of colleges. It's just,
we're going to talk about that. We're going to dive into all those things. But before we do, what I want to talk about is do we see in the next yes or no? Does Colorado win a Pac-12 championship in the next 5 years?
Yes, I believe they will win one in 3.
Okay. Let's go over to Ryan. Ryan, we're going to discuss the football aspect of this first before we dive into all the extra stuff. How do you think, was this the right decision for Deion to make to go to Colorado? And then how do you think it's going to fare out?
Football wise, yes. And the thing is this is a program that has been bad the last decade. And I mean, you can go down the list. Their last bowl appearance was 2020. Yeah, they made a bowl game. They went 6-6. They lost 55-23 to a mediocre Texas team who was back apparently at that moment. But the thing with Division I is that he's going to have a lot more cameras, a lot more spotlight, and he's going to have some of those resources that Percy was talking about. But I think he's going to be a great football fit there if the Pac-12 is in fact still intact in the next 3 years. But that's a whole nother conversation because these 2 schools that are leaving, the rest don't have enough to pick up the tab. So that's a whole nother conversation. But I think he's a great hire. I think he's it's a 1-11 football team. There's going to have to be a lot of changes coming around here. I mean, they've lost 5 out of their last 6 bowls that they have made, and in the last decade, they made they made bowl games almost less than 30% of the time during that time period. So it's a program that's hurting. And then I think Dion's great at building programs, as you saw with Jackson State. And I think with where he's at, I think he can be successful. Now, do I see him winning the Pac-12 with Lincoln Riley in the conference? That'll be fireworks. I don't know. That's still
well,
gonna
Lincoln
have to be
Riley's
tested.
leaving, and they're going to the Big Ten in 2 years. So that's
Right, but I'm talking about up until then. How
Gotcha.
it'll be interesting to see how he competes recruiting wise against someone like Lincoln Riley and USC.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that I was talking about, Ryan. Just from a football perspective, from an X's and O's perspective, this division is tough. I mean, you have Washington, you have Oregon, you have Utah, you have Oregon State, you have UCLA. You have Washington State, Arizona, California, the University of Cal, Arizona State, and people forget Stanford is in there too. This is a tough division. And when you're coming into this division and you're starting out at the bottom, I mean, they're absolutely the worst, without a doubt, the worst team in the Pac-12. I think that there is going to be, I think that people are setting the expectations too high, too soon for Dion, making it sound like, well, there's going to be immediate change. Yes, I do agree. There's going to be immediate change in the right direction, but taking a 1-11 team and just making them into a champion of the Pac-12, it's not going to be as easy as it was at Jackson State. Now, for our next topic, Percy, this is one that hits home very much for us. It doesn't seem like, this is a fact. Dion took a lot of backlash, especially from the African-American community. I would say it was around 50-50 on a lot of social media platforms about him leaving Jacksonville State after 3 years and going to Colorado. Percy, I'm turning my mic off. The floor is yours for the next 90 seconds to 2 minutes here. Knock yourself out, buddy.
No problem. Social media right now, man, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the guy chats, they're just going bananas right now. And me personally, I don't understand why so many people are against Dion when he said coming in what his game plan was to do. So he told everybody, he told everybody, all the media outlets, that this is what it was going to be. He got the opportunity, and I believe Colorado was one of the first schools to reach out to him. So, he went, did his due diligence, and I mean, why not? Like I said earlier, I played at a historically Black college. I know how it is personally when it comes to the facilities. I've had this conversations with many of my friends who've played college sports, football, basketball. And when Dion first went to Jackson, they all said, if they can do it all over again, they would have still went to their universities because it comes down to the training staff and the facilities. So my thing is, I don't see nothing wrong with it. Let me just sum it up real fast. Dion when it comes down at the end of the day, everyone has to do what's best for them and their family and their career. So it's no different from what Dion has done for his career than if you, Rob, we were working together in Fort Washington in PA. You got an amazing opportunity to move to Dallas, Texas. You weighed out your options and you took the leap of faith and you went to Dallas, Texas. It's no difference from having I don't know why people put so much emphasis in it. At the end of the day, jobs with regular people, if they fire you tomorrow, Ryan, guess what? Your job will be up on Indeed today.
Yep.
So I really think the people in our community need to relax because they're not even doing the things that they're asking of this man to do, and they're not even doing it in their own communities. In the community that I'm from, Robert, Norristown, PA, I know for 7 years that I ran a youth organization for 7 years, and the powers to be that's talking all this trash about Dion wouldn't even help me out on a very, very small, minute level. So they need to relax. Deion's going to get all the major recruits, and Deion is going to be able, he said it. All I need right now is offensive linemen to compete. Well, guess what? Who doesn't want to go to Colorado to be with Deion and his staff and eat right, have the top, the top science and all you can name of. And guess what? On top of that, you don't get all the publicity that Jackson got, plus more. Why not do it? The floor is yours, guys.
Look, I have a major problem with the backlash that he's receiving, and the reason why is being an African American male, you're looking at your own community, giving you a lot of backlash for, doing what's best for you and your family, and you have to also remember that him leaving to go over to Colorado, you have to remember what he did at Jackson State. He's updated their facilities. He's got them access to funds that they have never had before. He's highlighted HBCUs and put them in the proper spotlight that they deserve throughout the United States. And I think it's going to hurt a lot when we look at the future and you start seeing some of the other Hall of Fame receivers or Hall of Fame football players or even retired football players thinking about, okay, do I want to go to a Power 5 school and become an assistance coach, or do I want to go be a head coach at a HBCU and take my route that way to eventually become a head coach? I would not want to do that now because of the backlash that I've received for leaving the school after 3 years and winning championships. I think it's ridiculous that they're doing this to him. Also, I think that people have a lot to say, but they don't really put themselves in his situation. Let's talk about money first. From a money perspective, even though it's not the only thing, it's a very important thing. He's going from making around $300,000 a year to around $3 million a year. That's 10 times. Yes, Percy, those are facts. It might not be the exact on the money, but it's about 10 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think his contract was 4 years, $1.2 million at Jacksonville State. And I think that he's going to get anywhere between $3 and $4 million per year at Colorado. That's 10 times as much. 10 times as much. You're also forgetting that he has a family. He's a son that plays football, and his family is going to Boulder, Colorado, which is a really, really good community. And it's a very good place for football. It's a historically power program that he is getting the opportunity to coach football. And he's bringing some of his staff that were with him from Jackson State. If you look at some of his assistant coaches, I believe the highest paid assistant coach or the highest paid coordinator that he had on his team was only $125,000 per year. Now these people are going to get the same opportunities to go be coordinators and go be assistant coaches where they're getting paid $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, and then get what's best for their families as well. I understand the racial aspect, and I do understand the historically black college aspect, but come on, people, like, we can congratulate him on his accomplishments. He did what he set out to do. He went to a historically black college, coached, did well, put them on the map, got them better facilities. And now that he's making a decision to move on, it is not time to rag him and call him a sellout for basically doing what is best for him and his family. I have a major problem with it. I'm disappointed in the community for the people that are saying it. And I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that we're putting him in this boat. But that being said, congratulations, Deion. Congratulations, Primetime. And I'm not saying that because you're leaving a place. I'm saying that because you're going to have an opportunity to be a head coach in the Pac-12, which is a Power 5 conference. And hey, man, you deserved it. Like, you deserved it. You went to a school that wasn't a big known school, and you went and you did amazing things at Jackson State, and now you're reaping the benefits of doing something like that. And I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of his success, because he could have just relied on the success that he had of being an NFL player before and a Hall of Famer and called it a day. But no, he spent the time, he put the work in, he went to a school, he went to a bottom tier school, and now he's rising up through the ranks. Ryan, I don't know if you ever had the chance to play NCAA football on PlayStation, but me and Percy used to play it all the time. And
Can't wait till it comes back.
Yeah. And there was nothing better than playing Dynasty mode. And at the end of the year, at the end of the year as the coach, you look at it and you're like, damn, I was Stanford's head coach, and now they're offering me something at Notre Dame. Should I bounce? Right? It was kind of fun.
Yes, sir.
It was kind of fun looking at that. So, but I will say this, like you said, Ryan, I'm going to come back to you. He's got his work cut out for him. The Pac-12 is no joke. And I think that he will be successful, but I do think that it's going to take more time than a lot of people are saying, like, oh my goodness, it's like immediate turnaround. Yes, immediate turnaround from 1-11.
Yeah,
not immediate turnaround to like, okay, now we're champions of the Pac-12. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is what I've never understood, and as an avid college football fan and working in the NCAA, I was an employee at Texas Tech, like we mentioned. It's astonishing to me that you can do that, and I think it's a great thing that he's going to be able to do, and Colorado is a great school. Let's just get that out of the way in a Power 5 conference, like Rob said. But yeah, I think, don't knock anybody for success. Just cheer for people when success is upon them, and I think that's just something I like to do. But yeah, this is it's not gonna be a 11-1 season. That doesn't happen at this level. And I hate when people put those expectations, like Rob said. But
Lincoln Riley went from a top-tier program from Oklahoma to USC, and they didn't win the Pac-12 his first year either.
Listen, a reasonable expectation would be 6-6 and a bowl game. Just get to a bowl game. That is realistic. You've got 3 non-conference games. You only need to win 3 conference games to go to a bowl game. Just start there. We don't need to start talking about Buffaloes are going to win the Pac-12 title and all this. This is crazy. It happens to every coach, and it's quite unfair. And Deion's probably going to be sitting in the mirror going, what the heck did I even sign up for? After a week, they think we're going to win no. I agree with you, Rob.
First,
can I say one final thing on this topic, guys?
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. Now, there are not a lot. There are a good amount of phenomenal coaches in college football.
Mm-hmm.
But listen here, in my opinion, guys, when it comes down to the top tier talent, and Deion Sanders is the head coach in Colorado, these guys, the portal for the next 43 days now, because today is day 44, the next 43 days, and every other high-end football player around the country, trust and believe the dogs that he's going to get to come in Colorado are going to be amazing. This is not going to be like, oh, this guy signed to Alabama, this guy signed to Tech. No, they're going to be lined up, knocking on his door.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. From a recruiting standpoint, I would say in less than 24 months, Colorado will be a top 10 destination, a top 10 recruiting class will start coming into Colorado, hands down, no questions asked. Ryan, what do you think?
I agree with everything Percy has said, and there's no doubt that he is going to recruit kids to come to that school. There's no doubt. He's done it everywhere he's gone. Did it at Jackson State. He's going to do it here. But the X's and O's and the scheme and the identity of your football team and your program it's a far different thing. The talent level between a 5-star and a 3-star is not that much.
Mm-hmm.
It is not that much. You can bring 5 stars and all that stuff, but it's what you do with that talent on the field. Colorado,
the offensive coordinators, it is not going to be the way it was in Jackson State.
No offense, you're not going against Southern every week.
Yes. He's going. They are going to have from a. Here's what he's doing, which I love. He's going to be able to bring in the talent. But talent, look at A&M, right? They had the number 1 recruiting class in the season this year.
4-8.
4-8, right? It takes a lot more than just talent. So, but I believe in Dion making that happen. I'm not saying that I
do
think
too.
that he's not going to be able to make that happen. He needs the staff hires are going to be very important. The staff hires are going to be very, 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 very important. So let's move on here. I know we could talk about Dion for a long time, and we all love Dion. But I want to come here. I want to come to Ryan here, and I want to talk about Odell Beckham going to, well, not official, but it's saying that all the reports are leading to Odell Beckham signing with the Cowboys. Ryan, do you think that Odell signing with the Cowboys immediately makes you guys a Super Bowl contender?
First of all, I'm glad that, it looked like on the videos and all that stuff that Odell was having a nice time on his official visit. I guess it's recruiting now. You recruit in the NFL, which is a funny aspect in itself. But
Yeah, it's not like he's about to get paid $5 million a year. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think they are an NFC title game contender right now. I think they can get there, but I think that's another weapon for Dak. And the way CD Lamb is kind of playing right now, and the speed that he's playing right now, I think when you have to account for Odell Beckham Jr., that's going to make things really tough, and it's going to open things up for CD Lamb, for Michael Gallup, who's starting to really show out now after injury. Yeah, that's going to be. I think it instantly makes them a contender. Yes, but I don't think only him is what makes them a contender. I think they can still go very far, but he adds an element to where you're going to have to take attention away from CD Lamb, and that is a scary thought.
Absolutely. Percy, what do you think?
Oh man, I think that it will be very, very exciting for the NFL. Very exciting for Dallas if he goes there. I mean, he's already hanging out with the guys. He's already kicking it. All signs are showing that that's where he's going. I just want to know when they're going to draw the paperwork up and let's get on with it, because I really think that added addition, along with the weapons they already have, and the defense they have out there playing right now, it'll be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs. And I would be tuned in, Ryan, each and every Sunday to watch their play if they get that man.
I agree with you guys. Of course, I'm an Eagle fan at the end of the day, but I do believe that this helps the Dallas significantly. I don't consider Odell Beckham a top 20 or top 25 receiver anymore, but I also think it's incredible to have those kind of weapons in the playoffs. And you're talking about it's week 14 now. Obviously, there's 18 weeks in the season. Dallas is not going to get a home playoff game. It looks like, I'm not making fun of you guys, Ryan, but I'm just saying, if I had to bet right now,
No,
they're probably not going to get a home playoff game. The Eagles are 11-1 and already have a win over them, so they're really kind of 3 games up on Dallas, who's 9-3. They do play again though, but I just don't see Dallas winning the division. So they're going to need to go on the road their first game. They're not going to get the bye. They're going to have to play on the road, and it's looking like it could be Seattle, San Francisco, or Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Or the Vikings, right? So
Wow.
I really, really, really hope that they understand that this does put them in a better contention, but winning 3 games on the road, or it might not be all 3 on the road. They could get lucky, and the Eagles or somebody else could lose, and they could get 1 game at home. But I just think that this is really going to test Sherman and Dallas, and how are they going to finish here in the playoffs? Ryan, I do have a question for you. And it's something that people aren't talking about a lot. Do you think that if Sherman doesn't get out of the first round of the playoffs this year, that he is fired and you guys immediately go after putting all of your eggs in a basket and trying to get Sean Payton to come back?
I don't know. That's been a lot of. I see a lot of people that have Sean Payton's picture with Cowboys stuff on it on social media. He's a local guy. He lives in Argyle. You know where Argyle is, Robert. He still lives there. He lives there now.
He coached under Parcells when he was here in Dallas.
Yep. He's very familiar. He's called this place home even when he was in New Orleans. He lived here. So yeah, I think that's a possibility, but I don't think if him going to the playoffs and McCarthy gets to the second or third round.
I said if he loses in the first round. If he loses in the first round.
I don't think so, because he's not going 8-8 like Jason Garrett, and and that's better than Jason Garrett going 8-8 every year.
True. That's why I can't.
Don't get me started on Jason Garrett.
No. We're not even going to talk about him. And they're horrible.
Please.
He is so bad on Sunday night football. His analysis is worse than Tony Dungy's on Sunday night football when he said, like, man, that was really big that they turned the ball over before the end of the half. You think, like, duh, Booger McFarland, duh.
It's
you
horrible.
think it's a big deal? Yeah, it is a big deal.
Yeah.
Percy, do you think he gets fired do you think Sherman gets fired if he's out in the first round of the playoffs?
I don't think he's fired. I think they'll give him a little bit more grace. I don't think he gets fired at all.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. A couple more topics, guys, that we're going to go through here, and then we're just going to wrap it up for the day. Tom Brady, even though they're 6-6, they're still number one in the division. It's looking like they're 2 games up on Atlanta right now. I think that they're going to win the division personally. I'll ask you guys for your opinion here in a second, but that was nice just seeing him march the ball down the field and score and win the game. And what did you think about that, Percy?
I'm sorry, I missed you. Faded out. Which game?
I said Tom Brady on the game-winning drive on Monday Night Football, beating New Orleans and just doing what he does. And, it's kind of like you name a player that you want to be playing quarterback with 2 minutes ago and you need 6 points.
Listen, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I'm on the couch watching it. Somebody wanted to go to bed for the night, and I said, no, I can't go to bed. I said, because a couple years ago, Tom Brady was losing at halftime, and I went home and went to sleep, and I woke up at 2 a.m. and saw the score. I don't know why that came to me last night, but I said it's 16-3, and I said they have Tom Brady. I said it can happen. So she went to the room, and I stayed out, and I said, oh, and they scored. And then I went in and I talked to her for a little bit. And then I came back out and I said, Tom Brady did it again. Then I think I really didn't. It's Tom Brady, man. You really cannot count that man out. Like, it doesn't matter who he has out there, man. You cannot count him out. On all my chats, everybody was like, oh, Tom this, Tom that. And I'm just like, I wish I had FanDuel, the FanDuel plug. I wish I had FanDuel in Georgia, because if I would have put $5 on it last night, Ryan, the odds had to be something crazy. But I'm not surprised, man. That's what that guy does, man.
Percy, it reminds me when I was growing up, and I was born in 85. And throughout my years of being 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, all the way up through there, it watching Tom Brady gives me a nostalgia feeling, kind of like how I felt with Jordan when it was, there's 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. The score might be 84-78 and the Bulls may be down, but for some reason Jordan might have been 6 for 18 so far that night. And for just some reason, it just happened so many times that we know that he's just going to come and he's going to execute and he is going to finish this out. And at the end of the day, you're going to see him do the pump, the hand pump. And it's just going to be like, man, at 45 years old, there is something, they don't talk about the clutch factor enough. There is something, and I think Burrow kind of has it a little bit, where it's just something where it's like, he's not going to panic. You're not going to rush him. He's been here before, and he's going to pull it out. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I mean, it's just like you can't doubt him anymore. I mean, everybody wants to, but you can't do it anymore. And it's the I'd rather be losing to Tom Brady, I feel like, in the fourth quarter than winning. Um, and when this guy's, it seems like, you saw him animated on the sideline. I hadn't seen Tom like that
He was
in a
heated.
long time. He was heated, and I was like, somebody needs to take the tablet from him because this could get dangerous. Because he was pissed off about somebody not doing their job. And that's the thing.
Microsoft doesn't want to see on national TV one of their tablets get tossed again. It's like, goodness gracious, how many tablets are you guys going to toss? Go ahead, Ryan.
Right, but yeah, and that's the thing, though. This is a 45-year-old man out there he still has that standard where it's, hey, this offense hasn't been performing all year. He knows it. He's had a lot of stuff go on in his personal life. But guess what? He's like, I'm still out here holding us accountable. I'm going to hold myself included. And if you're not going to do your job, then I'm going to let you know you're not doing your job. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I got people that are going to come at me and say, oh my gosh, he can't be yelling at people like that. No, you can. When you're a leader and somebody's not doing their job over and over again, you're going to get frustrated. And that's going to happen. And it happened. And look what he did. After that tantrum, dog. He was straight dog after that.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Moving on, last but certainly not least, let's talk about the injuries and two big injuries. First, I'm going to come back to you, Ryan. San Francisco. They beat up on Miami this week, and Miami's obviously one of the best teams in the league. San Francisco's 8-4, but they've lost Jimmy Garoppolo for the rest of the season after losing Trey earlier in the year. They've lost two starting quarterbacks now. Ryan, do you think that there is any way here now because I'm not going to lie to you, I was looking at San Francisco as in they're definitely going to be in contention for going to the Super Bowl with Dallas and the Eagles and the Vikings. But now that Garoppolo is down for the rest of the year, do you see any way that they be able to pull this off?
Yeah, I do see a way.
Whoa! Okay, now we're talking. All right, Ryan, go ahead.
The only way I think they can pull it off doesn't mean they will. The only way I think they can pull it off is they have the number one defense in the league, and it's a scoring defense. They scored on Sunday. It's a good defense, and they play ferocious and they play smart. They don't make mistakes, and that's a good thing. And you still got Christian McCaffrey over there and Deebo Samuel, but you're going to have to rely on Brock Purdy, who is the greatest quarterback in Iowa State history. I know you guys don't watch Iowa State, but in Big 12 country, I do. So he was a great quarterback at Iowa State. He's mobile more than people think he can, but the pressure of an entire NFL organization on a rookie quarterback who hasn't played a single down yet in a game, that's a lot to ask. And I think it's too big of an ask. But with this defense, that is their only chance. And if they run the football like Kyle Shanahan knows how to, I think he's really going to have to get back to that because Brock Purdy he was a great quarterback, but this is a whole nother league here that he's stepping into. Yes, they won on Sunday.
Do you know who they play this Sunday?
No, I don't.
Tampa Bay. Nothing like your first start
against the GOAT.
Against the GOAT.
You got Brady, bro.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, the only way is through that defense, in my opinion.
Percy,
and running the football. Yeah.
Absolutely. Are they still in contention here?
Absolutely.
Wow.
For sure. Look, man. I know all the media outlets was saying they were going to get Baker Mayfield possibly. And now
Baker Mayfield, no, they just signed him.
He went to the Rams.
He went to the Rams.
Yeah. But they were kind of saying, talk to him going out west. Look, man, I'm all about the underdog. I'm all for it. I didn't know all the stuff that Ryan just told us. So now I'm like, hey, he still has two running backs. 2.5 receivers, tight end, and that amazing defense behind them. Anything can happen on Sunday when you got all that going for you, man.
And he played well. He went 25 for 37 for 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception against one of the best teams in the league, Miami, and won the game. So I'm not here to bash him at all. I mean, he played very, very, very well. He still has a long ways to go, but I mean, we're talking about his first game in a key matchup in the week and not expecting to play. I do think that it's going to take some time, but I don't want to write him off yet. But I am going to say that things have significantly changed. If they win the division and Dallas comes to play them first, or even Seattle comes and plays them first in the playoff game, it is not a foregone conclusion here that it's a wrap. Like, I think that Dallas could definitely beat them. I think that Seattle can definitely beat them, even though Geno Smith isn't playing as well as he used to play. I still think that there is a lot of room here. And Lamar Jackson, the last injury update that we're going to give, and then we're going to close it out. Lamar Jackson is going to be injured here for a couple weeks. They say he's week to week. It's not as big of an injury as they initially thought. But I do know that even with Lamar Jackson, they are not looking like the team that I thought that they were going to be. But at the end of the day, they are 8-4, tied for the first in the division with the Bengals at 8-4. They do have all of December to play. You still have 5 more games. The AFC is tight here on the playoffs. You have the Titans here at 7-5, and they're probably going to win the AFC South. But the rest of the way, we're talking tight. Ravens 8-4, Bengals 8-4, Chiefs 9-3, Chargers 6-6, Raiders 5-7. Bills 9-3, Dolphins 8-4, Jets 7-5, Patriots 6-6. It's looking like the AFC is going to be pretty tough here coming down, and I don't want to write the Ravens off, but if he's going to miss 3 or 4 weeks, they're going to have to win 2 or 3 games here. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, the loss of Lamar is detrimental, especially with what they want to do and what they try to do week in, week out. It's great that an offense is built around one guy, but that's great. But if he's not there, then what? So it'll be interesting to see. I know they don't change a lot from what they do with their backup either. So, but I don't think he's nearly as effective as what Lamar does on a carry by carry basis and throwing the football. I think they become more one dimensional actually with the loss of Lamar. And I think they're saying 1 to 3 weeks, Rob.
Yeah, they're saying week to week. Yeah,
it's somewhere in there.
He's not going to be here next week. How about that?
Right. So, yeah, in this Ravens team has a lot of expectation on their shoulders right now, and they have the whole year. And it really doesn't feel like an 8-4 football team, does it?
No,
it really doesn't. Especially with the loss to Jacksonville, that hurts you. I thought that was actually hilarious, but don't get me started on that. But they're in an interesting position here, and they're going to have to find a way to win without him, and that's easier said than done, in my opinion. I think Lamar is that valuable.
Percy?
Hey, man, I hate to see this happen to him, man. There's just so many factors right now, Ryan. Obviously, he's playing to get to the big game. He's playing for this contract, and he rolled out and put it all on his back by not signing what they offered, and now you got this.
Yeah,
and it's like year after year, it's these little nagging injuries that he keeps getting. Obviously because we know the kind of style of football that he plays, and I really hope he can bounce back from this and make a run in the playoffs. And to not affect him, talked about earlier with Dion. This is his career. This is his well-being.
Right.
This is how he's going to provide for his family. And I just wish the young man the best of luck. And yeah, man, I don't know, man.
I don't think this affects him getting a $200 million contract. I think it's almost guaranteed that he's going to eventually get a $200 million contract.
from
but
someone.
I will say this, and this is just my personal opinion, Percy, and you're going to rag me for it. I know you are, and I'm going to get ragged online. I know it. I can already feel it. I can already feel it. It's like, oh, here comes the cold water. I don't know if I'd give him a $200 million contract. I'm after watching Kyler Murray, and no, I'm not putting Kyler Murray on the same thing as Lamar Jackson, but believe it or not, as an Eagle fan, we have that decision coming up next year with Jalen Hurts and giving him a $200 million contract. And I think he's playing a hell of a season. And I think he's great. I think he's one of the front runners for MVP, top 3 finishing MVP. But I don't know if I'm ready to bet the franchise with a $260 million contract for a 6-year, $260 million contract for Hurts. And just watching how Lamar's played this year, even though he's played well, I don't know if I'm ready to bet my franchise on the next 6 years of my franchise on Lamar Jackson. Does he deserve to make a lot? Yes. But I would like to get it in the 200 to 210 range instead of the 260. I'd like to get it in between like 35 and 40 million a year instead of the 50 million a year. I can't have 20 to 25% of my cap going to if it's a Patrick Mahomes, if it's a I mean, we can just start rattling off some of the quarterbacks that I feel like are at that level, but it's not about where we feel like they're going to be. Joe Burrow. It's not where I think that they're going to be right this second. It's where do I think that they're going to be over that 6-year time frame. And if I'm going to spend 20 to 25% of my cap every single year on this person, they got to be a top 5 to top 10 quarterback every year, no matter what. Percy.
You make a good, valid point. So let me ask you and Ryan this. Because we know it is a passing league and quarterbacks are valued so high. Give me 5 to 7 quarterbacks right now that do deserve that kind of money.
Okay. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow.
You could jump in too, Ryan, if you want.
I know he's old, but I definitely think that's Aaron Rodgers' money. Like I think
but not a 6-year term, right?
Not a 6-year term,
yeah.
But I'm talking on a year-by-year basis. Yeah,
agree with that.
Like that's the market that we're talking about.
That's 4. Yeah. Give me 3 more, guys.
Brady's
getting that money.
Yeah, but he's on his way out. But go ahead, I give you 5.
Yeah, he's on his way out. But if I'm San Francisco next year and I don't know when Garoppolo's coming back and Trey is got a torn ACL and I can get Brady to sign for a $40 million contract, yeah. Well,
give me 2 more.
Listen, I mean, I'm not saying he belongs in this category, but this is where the market's at. Dak Prescott is at $175 million,
which is $40 million a year.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And then I'll give you another.
He's won one playoff game. So that's where the market is at for quarterbacks.
Not just right now, Percy, but I'm saying for the next 6 years, I would give Herbert that money.
It's interesting to hear you say that because you talk bad about Herbert a lot.
Right, I do. But Lamar Jackson, I mean, we can.
Derek Carr has that money.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, no, Derek Carr, but it's not for 6 years. It's not the extension. They're not in a situation where they're going to be able to tell Lamar, we want you to sign for 2 years. Like Derek Carr took a 3-year contract, right? So what I'm saying to you is that if I'm making that decision, I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm saying I don't know because I look at the Kyler Murray contract.
Oh, boy.
And I look at the Deshaun Watson contract.
Yeah.
And I look at the Russell Wilson contract.
Oh, boy. This is getting
And I'm like, if I do this, if I pull this trigger, and I'm not saying Lamar is not better than them. What I'm saying is like you said, he's running the ball. He gets those nagging injuries. We can't put teams away. We're beating teams 10-9, 17-16. We're barely pulling them out. Am I saying he's good? Yes, he's very, very good. But am I willing to start saying like we need to take some of the funds that we normally spend on our defense or our offensive line and start dumping it into a quarterback to just hold us? Do I want to be like this for the next 6 years? I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I just start looking at the playoff situation, right? You want me to spend $50 million, and I'm not saying it's wrong, Percy. I'm not saying you're wrong. I would just be thinking about it a little bit more, right? So if I look at the next 6 years and I say, okay, I think the Chiefs are going to be around, so I know going into a playoff game, I'm probably going to not have a better quarterback than the Chiefs. I'm probably not going to have a better quarterback than the Bengals. I'm probably not going to have a better quarterback than the Buffalo Bills. Right? And I'm not saying he can't be that way one season. I'm just saying over the next 6 years. And I'm thinking about we're a playoff team. I know that we're at a disadvantage paying Patrick Mahomes. I know we're at a disadvantage playing Cincinnati. I know we're at a disadvantage playing Buffalo. The quarterback matchup we are down in. So where do I want to invest my money? I want to invest my money in receivers, defense, running offensive line, running the ball. I want to be able to beat them in other ways than say that I want to spend the same amount of money on a quarterback, knowing that going into that game, I don't think he's a better quarterback than Josh Allen. I don't think he's a better quarterback than Joe Burrow, and I don't think he's a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. Right? But you're making it sound like that the goal here isn't to win a Super Bowl. So if I already know,
the goal is to win a Super Bowl for sure.
Right. So if I already know going into it, and we haven't even talked about like what the rookies are coming up. If I already know going into the playoffs, I have three. How many teams go to the playoffs on the AFC side? 7?
Yep.
So 40% of the time, I'm going to have to run into somebody that I don't think I'm going to have a quarterback matchup better than. Right. Damn, I'm not going to spend the same money. I'm only paying Patrick Mahomes $50 million a year. You want me to pay you more?
And he got his extension after a Super Bowl.
Right. Listen. I don't care if you guys are Lamar Jackson fans in Baltimore. You can kill me for saying this. He ain't Patrick Mahomes, bro.
No, he's definitely not Patrick Mahomes.
There's not a lot of those walking around.
I'm just going off of the market and where the market is and how they value quarterbacks. You don't have to.
I hear what you're saying, but we have to look at it deeper than that. Just because everybody's saying that you should, like, this is the next 6 years of my franchise, and I don't think he's better than Burrow, Allen, or Mahomes. Matter of fact, I'm almost damn near positive that he's not.
He's
right.
not.
He's not. And then you start looking at what Miami's doing with Tua and giving all them, and the Jets with their defense. I'm like, man, am I betting the house? Because he's not even willing to negotiate. He's asking for $250 million guaranteed. He's asking for Deshaun Watson money. And I just don't know, man. I don't know.
I can't wait to see what happens in the offseason, guys. It's going to be interesting.
They should franchise not this year. Yeah, they should franchise. Well, never mind. I won't even get into that because then I'm gonna get blasted for why doesn't he deserve?
Hey, I'll go there with you. That's what they're going to do.
That's what I would do. As
much as people hate it, that's what they do. The Cowboys do it all the time. DeMarcus Lawrence was franchise tagged,
but they broke down on Dak. They broke down on Dak.
Well, yeah.
And in my opinion, and here's another one, Percy. I don't think they're going to like that contract in 2 years. I don't think they're going to like that contract at all in 2 years.
But that's where the market has taken this is
right. But here's what I'm saying to do instead. If we were just thinking about it from an analytical standpoint,
right?
I want to be where we build the rest of the team up on the outside. We get the defense up. We invest in cornerbacks and receivers, and then we go draft a quarterback to get on a 5-year rookie contract. And then that's how like Mahomes won the Super Bowl on his rookie contract. Josh Allen just got out of his rookie contract. I want to build right now. Jalen Hurts is on his rookie contract.
Yeah.
Right. I want to build the outside of the team, go draft the rookie, build them for the first 2 or 3 years, and then take a Super Bowl run when I have superstars out in the skill position field, than going and paying. I already know Lamar is going to finish in the on the borderline of the top 10 every year. Like I can make arguments right now where I could tell you that Tua is having a better year than Lamar Jackson. He is. It's not for debate. Tua is having a better year than Lamar Jackson. So if I don't know for a fact,
statistically, yeah,
if I don't know for a fact that we have a pretty damn good chance that you're going to finish in the top 5 going into this year, I said Josh Allen's going to be a top 5 quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is going to be a top 5 quarterback. I don't mind paying the $50 million, but if you're not, if it's going to be a potential, some years you're going to do it and some years you're not. Whew, bruh. That's the problem.
And that's another thing that kind of bring this kind of back to the original topic. It's the same thing that happened with Dak. Like before his year of where he needed to he was playing for his contract, he breaks his freaking ankle, shattered his whatever it was, and he didn't get the money that they thought he was going to get. Because guess what? It happens. It happens when it's the same thing as a car. You get in a wreck. I'm not comparing. I know these are human beings, but this is a metaphor. If you get in a wreck, that devalues your car. You are devalued by injury. And I know this isn't a Dak injury, and it's not. But more and more of these things happening at a higher rate, that has to be taken into account. And when you're negotiating, this is why you probably want an agent. I know he doesn't believe in that, but you're going to have to view yourself differently. And that's why you usually want a third party in these negotiations, because most of us are too prideful to say, hey man, I'm not worth as much as what I used to be. Nobody likes saying that to themselves. So that's the comparison there.
And he deserves his money, but
he deserves money. Don't get me wrong, but
if I'm Lamar, that's
a lot of money, man.
No. And if I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm also looking at the Kyler Murray contract. I'm looking at these other contracts, and I'm just saying to myself, okay, I want the bag. But at the end of the day, the difference between $45 and $55 million a year is a lot when you look at the $10 million a year, that's $60 million over 6 years. However, if I look what Tom Brady did for all those years that they were winning the Super Bowl, do I really want to be the person who's making it so we have to, like Dak, get rid of players like Amari Cooper and have all the pressure on me to be able to bring a championship home? Or do I take $45 million for the next 6 years, $250 million contract, and give the management a little wiggle room to go and get an AJ Brown, to go and get a solid defense, because I'm looking at my career as a whole, and if I have to carry this thing like I'm carrying it now for the next 6 to 7 years, oh my goodness, like I need some help.
You're going to need an ambulance too.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, runs every play. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Very true.
That's a lot of work.
Hey guys, last thing, certainly not least, to just both of you, Percy Lee, Ryan Lillis. It's the holiday season. Sometimes we work so hard, or we get caught up in what we're doing, that we forget how nice it is to have brothers just to talk sports with. And I was thinking about it last night. I just appreciate being on that text thread with you guys every single day. And, just knowing that if I'm ever in a situation and I need somebody, or I need one of you guys, that I could call you. So I just wanted to tell you guys, I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys being on the show. I appreciate us doing this. And we're gonna call it a wrap for the day. Percy, do you have anything that you want to share with the audience?
Likewise, man. I definitely agree with you, Ryan, and Rich and Nick.
Shout out Rich, new baby. Shout out Rich.
Yeah, and man, Man, right now between college football and the NFL, over the next month and a half in February, it's going to be a lot of good games played, man. I can't wait to see what happens, and we'll be back Thursday.
Ryan?
Yeah, likewise, guys. I really appreciate coming on here, and I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. I love talking to all of you guys. You guys crack me up most of the time, but I find stupid things hilarious, a lot of small things hilarious, but it's those simple things that get me through the day, and just kind of takes my mind off of everything that's going on and things that I worry about. So, yeah, thankful for you guys. Thankful to everybody that listens. And hope we can keep this thing going.
Well, I appreciate everybody. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you to all the fans that are listening. Contact us anytime, even if you want to tell us how bad Percy sucks with his predictions. That is fine. Thank you guys very much, and I hope everybody has a blessed day. Thank you.